All right, I call to order a regular meeting of the Chisholm City Council for July 28th, 2021. Good evening, everyone. Apologize, we're still meeting via Zoom. We were working on the equipment right up until last night. I actually do not even know if Steve got it all working because it was so recent. That coupled with, we had a talk with the attorney about how we go back from Zoom to regular open meetings. And there became just a minor issue with the fact that we sent out the agendas that we were meeting via Zoom. Between those two things, we just figured, let's not force the issue. We'll do it in August. So that's why we're at. So I think we'll be ready within a day. If we're not ready right now, we'll be ready certainly within a day or two, and we'll do it in August. So with that said, let's take a roll call.
Councillor Halverson.
Present.
Councillor Mikala-Raha. Councillor Mikala-Raha.
Present.
Councillor Fountain.
Here.
Councillor Lance.
Here.
Councillor Vaki.
Here.
Mayor Champa.
Here. Adopt the agenda, Council. The only change we have is we got a follow-up request or a follow-up letter from Kelly at Jim's, and she does not need to lift the ordinance, which was item number 1 under myself. So we can remove that and move everything else up. Margaret, was there anything else that I missed there, or is that accurate?
That's accurate.
So Council looking for a motion to adopt the agenda with the 1 removal.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Second.
Thank you, April. Margaret, take a roll call.
Councillor Halverson.
Aye.
Councillor Mikala-Raha.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Agenda is adopted. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stephanie, or Eileen, Stephanie, no last minute public participants show up?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Move on to reports. Let's start with Adam today. Adam, good evening. You got a report?
Good evening. We had interviews for the ambulance director position. We're waiting to see how that follows up with the committee. Other than that, it was a nice month off. Very busy. I hope everybody had a safe and happy Independence Day weekend. And it's good to see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Cheyenne, report tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. No report.
Thank you. Travis, report tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Just a couple of things from my end. I don't even remember the last meeting we had, so had to think long and hard about a report. The EDA wise, we're doing some fun stuff there. Chamber wise, we got Doc Graham Days coming up. The schedule of events is out. Make sure you're out and about. Chisholm will be hopping August 4th through the 8th. That is also the county fair. So Kiwanis is also looking for anyone if they're available to help with fair parking, since it's such a busy weekend. So if you have a few hours to donate, you could contact Shelly Lappy or myself for Kiwanis. Tammy and I had our picture taken today up by the new net and fence for the softball field. So big thank you to the Community Foundation and the city for making that happen. I can tell you that the guys are very pleased and very happy. It's a great fence if you haven't been up to see it. Last thing on my end is Councillor Lance and I and Chief Masusi were all part of the CCF Golf Scramble Monday. Had a great time. And so again, thanks to the city for being kind enough to donate to that. And then also to Councillor Lance and Chief Masusi for participating in that. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Counselor Fulton, report tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. So the Renegade Trail Run 25K 5K is September 11th at the Redhead Trail. Tom and Jerry's Golf Scramble is September 12th. August 4th at 6 o'clock is Moonlight Festival Bingo at Valentini Supper Club. Can't wait to go to that. And also National Night Out at the Hibbing Bennett Park is August 3rd, which is next Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. I'll be there with the Hibbing Public Library with my booth. Come on down. Everybody's invited. Music, free food, and games and more. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, April. I see Balkan is having one too. We're kind of late to the party here, but well, we should start doing that as well. Thank you, April. Marty, report tonight. Good evening.
Hello. Since our last meeting, I attended the Park and Rec Board meeting and also had a few meetings with our trail builder out at Redhead. Rock Solid. I had a couple meetings with them. And was out inspecting their work and to keep people up to date. They're a little over half done with their scope out there, but they did have to leave for about a month and we expect them back sometime in late August. And that's all I have.
Marty, did we get the bridges done yet? Or the bridge, I should say. I think we're going to do just one, right?
They ended up putting in a culvert instead of the bridge, and
Okay.
it turned out very nicely, and it
Okay.
saved us a lot of money there. So yeah,
Good.
that part did get completed. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Council, anything on that before we move on? Okay, so let me just a reminder first, airport meeting where we discussed the budget and levy at airport with the Hibbing City Council and the Airport Authority is August 16th, 6 p.m. If you don't have it on your calendar, make sure you do. We need a quorum out there. For those of you that haven't been to that meeting, I don't know if there is anybody that hasn't been to that meeting, but it's basically the furthest building west. It's the airport maintenance facility. They have a conference room in there. So right in front of it along the highway is actually the helicopter, the meta helicopter, whatever you call it. And it's basically right to the south of it. So just a meeting there, or just a notice there. Superintendent of the Chisholm schools, I just got put in office or put in that position just recently. I know Superintendent Norman from back in the day. So I did reach out to him and had lunch with him, and I brought Stephanie along just to introduce her to him. And I believe she's having a meeting with the facilities committee that's dealing with the school on our contract and stuff. We kind of just shot the breeze and we talked a little bit about the things that we need to iron out. And like I said, I believe Stephanie's meeting with that committee tomorrow. And at some point, we're probably going to have to, put together a meeting with the school board and the council again. I think we did one a while ago. So good little meeting. He's plenty busy. He's got short staff. They lost some of their finance people, so he's struggling. So he certainly didn't need more to do, but he happily met with us. Something that's came as a shock to me, and came to a shock to a few people here, and it might come to a shock to a few of you as well. Larry got a call a few weeks ago from the owner of Northern Wireless Media asking to get into City Hall to take a look at his internet equipment because some of his customers do not have internet. To be quite frank with you, many of us, maybe 3/4, if not more of us, did not even know there was an internet provider on the 3rd floor of City Hall. So that came as a shock to me. It came as a shock to Larry. It came as a shock to Stephanie. I talked to a few of the council people that had previously served, and they vaguely recollect allowing him to be up there. And long story short, we have Attorney Lindsay looking at putting together a contract with the owner. He has quite an investment. He actually, the council allowed him 8 or 9 years ago to put the equipment up there, and that was it. And he's been servicing both Chisholm and Balkan as an internet provider out of there with no contract or anything. So we're putting together a contract that council is going to have to look at. I'm assuming by next, our next meeting, we will have that. But we need to put something together so we understand what's there. In addition to that, we also have an internet provider on our water tower that was kind of a handshake deal back in the past with Compudine, I believe it is, and we're going to have to visit that as well because we don't have anything other than a handshake deal there too. So I don't even know if I was supposed to bring either one of them up, but I just wanted to make sure you're aware of it in case you hear it on the street. And we're working on both of them to try to resolve them now that we're aware of them. So you're going to see those at some point. We're going to have to make a decision on what we do. So we'll try to get you more information as we go forward on that. But I just thought you needed to know. I think that's all I got. I had meetings with every one of my boards, the HRA business as usual, other than we were trying to take these brick buildings that are basically right across from the campground that are an HRA facility. They're really small efficiencies and nobody wants to rent them. And we were each one of them has 4 efficiencies in it. And we proposed to HUD that we would turn them into 2 so they were rentable, and they are declining to allow us to do that. So they'd rather yell at us that we can't rent them out because nobody wants them. So that's unfortunate because, there's a lot of people looking for a little bigger place. Sanitary sewer district, really just business as usual out there. We are basically paying bills when we met a week or so ago. They had an issue where they were getting a bunch of sand that very possibly may be coming from Chisholm. I know Larry, Jim, and the people out at Sanitary Sewer District are looking at this to see if it's coming from Chisholm and if it is, where it might be. So we may need to do some televising if we are able to determine if it is truly coming from Chisholm. What else? Public utilities, pretty much business as usual there. We had a vendor come in to talk about the meters in town, our water meters. There is a new system out there where it's actually a cellular meter, and you can turn it on, turn it off via cellular. You can also do things like if for some reason they have a spike, like they got a running toilet, it can actually notify you. Some other options are really neat, but obviously price tag comes with neat. We are going to have to do something. I think we agreed we have to do some newer heads on these meters because the device we use to read the meter is about ready to give it up, and we can't get a new one. I don't know what it's called. Maybe Larry, when he gets up, he can chime in a little bit on that. And then one other thing the PUC is actually looking at, this has come up numerous times. I think Councillor Lance actually came to a PUC meeting and asked about it one time as well. But the PUC is actually looking at if there's some way we can meter water coming out of the spigot outside your house so you can water your garden, water your yard, fill your swimming pool, and not have to pay the sewer on top of it. It kind of prevents some people from doing things that would probably help the beauty of our city a little bit with watering your lawns and stuff. So, but when you're basically billed triple for the water because you're paying the water and then you're paying like double for sewer, it's kind of makes people not want to do it. So we're just looking at that. We don't know if anything will come out of it. So I think that's all I got. I said a lot there, but yeah, Council, any comments on that before we move on to our staff? All right, we'll move on. Building official, zoning administrator Mandy, good evening. Report tonight.
Good evening. No report other than what is on the agenda. Thank you.
Council, anything from Andy? We haven't seen her in a while. I haven't seen her smiling face in a while. EDA, Stephanie, report on that tonight?
Yes, we did meet with potential developers for the mixed-use facility, which would be the Essential St. Louis County facility. That is ongoing. A developer hasn't been selected yet, but it is moving forward. And we are also continuing our marketing effort with for the Iron Range mountain biking, partnering with Tioga, Kaina, Giants Ridge, and ourselves with Free Hub magazine. So that's continuing. That's all I have.
Thank you, Stephanie. Council, anything on that?
I have one question.
Good, Mark.
What is the status of our campground expansion?
What was that, Marty? I'm sorry.
What is the status of the campground expansion?
Marty, the hope is that we can budget for a landscape architect for next year, and we can get that design work done and then go for funding.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. We'll move on. Jim, report tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just a quick one. Our 3rd Street Northwest Infrastructure Project continues. Slow going. It's deep. We've got poor soils and we've got lots of landscape boulders. So if people in the neighborhood or the community need boulders, we've got them available for you. And we just put out the newsletter, the monthly newsletter here a week ago. There should be a copy of that in each of your mailboxes if you've not already received it, kind of giving that updated schedule. We are running behind because of the depth in the soils and the rocks, but it is progressing well at this point. The other thing, we're continuing, Larry and his crew and I are continuing to work to put together our mill and overlay project with the Cammering. We did several streets that we had identified as potential candidates we had to eliminate because of the condition of the sanitary sewer. So we are looking at and have selected some alternative streets, and we're doing the camera work on those to make sure that we're good to go on those. So it's slow, but it's moving forward. Quite honestly, it's going to, well, my hope is to bid it yet to hold the public hearing and bid it late this year, but it's going to be construction for next year. With that, I have nothing else other than what I've got on the agenda for the one pay application, but would happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council, questions for Jim?
Thank you.
Public Works, Larry, report tonight. Good evening.
Evening, everybody. I'll start with the mayor's discussion. It's the Tremble is the handheld that the water department uses, and you'll see them bright and early traveling around and getting the water meters remotely. And it's an old system. It's a big, huge handheld thing. And now, of course, it's an iPad. So we're looking at an upgrade there, and we'll continue to work towards that. Hopefully, we can make it with the equipment we have until budgeting, and we'll budget and look at that for next year. And I'll meet with Eileen and Denise, and we'll get back to council with an update on that. Other than that, I have a couple of things on the agenda, so I won't waste time there yet. And then the citywide cleanup went very well. Thank you for all the support and everyone for sharing it. The people that come in are very happy. We had folks that came in and cleaned up their neighbor's yard or cleaned up the vacant lot or whatever. So it's always a great thing, and people are very excited for it. So thank you for supporting that as well. If time provides, there I'll get with co-administrator Azah there, and we'll give a report like we did last year. She does a nice pie chart thing and everything there, like you remember. So, the cemetery upgrade that you also supported went very well. I'm pleased with our vendor and how things have been going out there. We expect to be 100% tomorrow on adjusting the cameras and stuff out at the cemetery, and Wi-Fi, internet, and all that, email. So we're functioning up at the 2021 scale, I would say. So thanks for that. Another update once we get complete. We expect that alley reclamation project to start in August. we think, the gas company is getting very close at lowering some shallow lines so we don't hit them. And then, and that'll be progressing. We have, the other thing on the agenda, one thing on the agenda is the fall casual labor. We'll talk about in a little bit. The due bid auctions went very well. And then, as Jim said there, he left out that if you want some of these boulders, you may have to own a semi to transport them. So Jim leaves that out because he likes to see things we're going to get rid of them. So those boulders he speaks of on 3rd Street are just massive. So it's really kind of cool to see, but they're not real easy to move. The campground, Stephanie and I met with a potential campground host for next year. Very excited about that. A couple reached out to us. They've been doing this for over 10 years and they travel around to different campgrounds. And the first folks to reach out to us, and we met with them. They were excited. They liked our campground. They want to help us and we want to work with them. So Stephanie and I are going to work on a proposal to bring to council with, Attorney Lindsay, of course, make sure we get guidance from him. And other than that, that's what I about have right now.
Larry, you want to mention county crack sealing yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you, Jim. We did start the crack sealing. And then next, that's actually completed in a day. Very quick crews. They're in and they're out. So it's very hard to notify people. So I apologize if you didn't get notified, but it's truly just the nature of the beast. It's a 1-day project. And then you've seen the signs, and I've gotten several questions. What are the signs? What are the signs sitting for? I hope we're not renting the signs. It's through the county. They're doing the chip and crack seal next. That's where they put the P-rock on top and help seal up the roads and give that driving surface again, that extra wear surface. So that'll be starting, I'm told, right after, depending on schedules and rain and all that, but in early August coming up here. So, and that's mainly on 1st Street Southwest and Northwest. And you can kind of see the sign sitting on the boulevard ready to go on the street there. So thanks for the reminder.
Hey, Larry, just a couple of things. Give me some feedback on our relationship with Balkan with the recycling center. How do you feel that's going? Just a yearly update.
Yeah, they're great to work with. It's been going well. I believe it's Dave. His last name escapes me all the time there, but he calls from his cell there. He says, "Oh, you do this, do that. Can we? So it's been going very well. I haven't heard any feedback negative, so it's been going very well. They got a pretty good crew out there, from what I understand. They help you. It's my understanding, but we're all kind of where you go into a restaurant right now. It's hard to get help. You go into the grocery store, it's hard to get help. The county has been a little slow at exchanging or dumping the containers, from what I understand, but they're working through it. They have a day off at least in between every opening because they're open Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So it's just a scheduling thing. It's been going fairly well, though. I haven't heard anything negative there in a while.
How about Buell with the garbage? I don't know that the council even knows much about that, but the PUC authorized you or allowed you to provide demo cans over there. Going good as well? Going very well. Okay. We think it'll get better. It's a blight season and that, so we expect, people that just don't. Some people don't have a great means to transport the garbage and that. So we provide the 300-gallon demo dumpsters for $40. I don't know if Buell has a slight upcharge, I think, for their Public Works department to bring them out and deliver there. Been going very well, except that, and then we do even have a couple garbage customers over there. So they're Chisholm taxpayers and their corporate offices in Chisholm. So we actually have a couple garbage customers over there as well. Good. And then you continue to pick up other customers in Chisholm commercial as well, I know. So, Absolutely. All right, that's all I got. Council, anything else for Larry? Thank you, Larry. Thanks, Fire everyone. Chief Chris, report tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Hope everybody's having a good summer. I'll just start out with, we've been extremely busy this last month and a half. We're currently at 80 custody. We've had a couple maintenance issues with our trucks. It seems like I'm always reporting that, but our equipment's getting older. Our aerial was down for a couple days for a hydraulic hose that burst. And then we had our engine one was down for a valve actuator that went bad. EAM got that all put back and they're both up and running fine. So since EAM was up here, we got our pump certification done a month early, so we didn't have to pay them to come up next month. We were able to put water up on the ball fields during some of our trainings. Counselor Vodke asked if we could put some water up there, and it's a good place for us to dump water for our trainings. So they're extremely dry. So we'll try to get that done for him. Tonight, the guys will be out washing the bird poop off Ironman for training. And just a reminder, burning restrictions are still on. It's extremely dry out there, so be careful when you're out burning or barbecuing. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Council, anything for the fire chief? Chris, when we get to my item number 6, the certificate of support for the public safety building for Virginia, I'm going to just ask you if you see any concerns with that. I've heard some in the past, but I don't believe there is. So I'll ask you that when we get to that. Thank you.
Okay.
Library, Katie, good evening. Report tonight.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Yeah, quick report. The big news is that we received the library construction grant of $110,000, which is super, super exciting. And so with the matching funds, we'll have $220,000 to tackle the Tuck Point brick project next year. Summer reading program came to an end. We had 88 kids and 17 teens participate. The numbers were definitely lower in the past, which we kind of expected. We really didn't do a whole lot of promoting, and we had no idea what the summer was going to look like. So we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but it all worked out, and we're happy with the kids that did show up. So we'll probably see those numbers start to increase within the next couple of years. June and July story times, we had 379 participants in 2 months of story times. So we're still rocking and rolling with those. A lot of them we did outside in the green space between City Hall and the library. So that worked out really well. And then lastly, for Doc Moonlight Graham Days, we're going to be doing tie-dye and the ice cream truck on Thursday, August 5th. So anybody wants to do some tie-dye, just show up with something white and we'll have the rest of the supplies.
Thank you, Katie. Council, questions for the librarian? Good job on the grant.
Thank you.
Moving on, Police Chief Vern, good evening. Report tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick update for the council. I too met with Superintendent Norman. Good guy, very progressive, wants to, and I'm sure you'll be informing everybody on this. He really wants to have a good working relationship with the council and looking forward to doing things together, which is excellent. And I want the council to be aware of the situation that I informed Mr. Norman on. I told him we might help him with his budget right away. As you know, the police department is still 3 officers down. We do have some that we're backgrounding, but when the year starts off, we might not have a SRO ready to up and to go with the school. It shouldn't affect, we'll still, send an officer for any events they have, or even free some guys up to do anything in the classrooms they need, but that full-time SRO might not be available at the time. And hopefully we get one on staff as quickly as we can. He understood and he really supports the SRO in that whole program. So we're looking to get it on as quick as we can, but we may have to adjust that billing cycle for a few months if we don't have anybody there. So that's just wanted the council to know, get the heads up in case they hear that from somewhere else, that you know in advance. So other than that, I have nothing else.
Thank you, Vern. Council, questions for the police chief? Vern, how about a mid-year Buell? How about a mid-year Buell feedback on providing their police service?
I'm glad you actually, excuse me. I'm glad you actually asked that question, Mayor. I met with them last week. Routinely, we get together with the
4 p.m. for kids 1 and up to 15 and unders, I should say. So come on out and enjoy the fishing contest. Vern's got some great prizes. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions of me.
Council, anything for Tammy? Thank you, Tammy. We'll move on. Attorney Lindsay, Brian, you got a report tonight? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. No formal report, but I am happy to field any questions the council may have.
Council, anything for the attorney? Thank you. Moving on. Clerk, Treasurer, Administrator, we'll start with Eileen. Good evening, Eileen. Report tonight.
Good evening, everyone. So nice to see you. Just a couple things. We wrapped up the audit on Friday, July 16. It went well. We provided for all of their requests, and they answered a lot of our questions in regard to any and all of our audit issues. So it was a great visit. I thought personally, I was really happy with the outcome of our interaction. Currently, I'm working on budgets. I've submitted several to a few department heads, so they're taking a look at them right now, hopefully, and it's that time of the year, budget season. And I also just wanted to mention, I forgot to mention that Jeff should be did schedule his presentation either for the last council meeting in August or the first one in September. I'm confirming that with Bonnie via email. I was hoping to hear back before my report, so that's coming up really soon. I also just wanted to say it's this break from last month for council meetings. You don't realize how much work is entailed to get ready for council meetings. So it's just such a breath of fresh air. Gives us a little wiggle room. So I really appreciate that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Council, any questions for the co-administrator Zaw? All right, we'll move on. Stephanie, report on the administrator side. Good evening again.
Good evening. I just want to give a little report on Ravina Claxton, who is our HR consultant, has been a tremendous help already. She is going to be meeting with all the department heads coming up here soon, but she's very knowledgeable and has had time and had the opportunity to meet with Attorney Lindsay, and things have been going very well with her. So I appreciate the support to hire her on as a consultant for the city. I also want to give an update on the ambulance building. Eileen and myself met with Joe and Tony Sturdich. The appraisal is currently happening, and the Sturdiches have agreed to pay half of the appraisal cost, and then the city would be responsible for the other half of the appraisal cost on that building. So when that appraisal comes in, we will be bringing that to council also. And then, like Adam had mentioned, we did conduct the ambulance director interviews, and those are ongoing in the process right now. So any additional questions for me?
Council, anything for Stephanie on that? All right, Council, before we move on, I just want to add one more thing I overlooked myself. I think most of you know about this, but anyway, when we downsized the size of the lease up at the campground, when we went from basically to Lockins leasing everything up there, and then we purchased and we leased it back to Lance Lockin, just the laundromat, parking lot, and a little bit of the garage or whatever. We never had that resurveyed and a new legal description and everything else for the council. So that's been done now. The survey is completed. We need to put together the whole lease agreement. We're working with the attorney to try to get that all put together so that it can all be submitted to the county, so that when the valuation and estimated taxes come out later this year, Mr. Purdy gets the right taxes for what he's really leasing up there. So we cleaned that up. I don't know how that was overlooked when we first did it. We probably should have done it right away after we changed that lease, but not everybody knows that you need to do that. So, but that's moving along. Council, anything else before we move on? All right, so we'll move to our consent agenda. These are your list of bills that Eileen emailed over a little earlier. Communications, which are the airport authority minutes, library board minutes, park and rec board minutes, planning commission minutes, public utility commission minutes, Chisholm ambulance second quarter 2021 report, Minnesota Department of Natural Resources temporary suspension of state contract performance, Minnesota Department of Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation temporary suspension of state contract performance, Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, St. Joseph's Catholic Church communication, minutes of our previous city council meeting, June 23rd, 2021, regular meeting, payroll and overtime. I get a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Councillor Lance, second for that.
Second, Marty.
Thank you, Councillor Alverson. Further discussion, corrections, concerns? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Mikala Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, consent agenda is approved. Moving on to new business, Mandy, James North variance application, page 28, council 2829.
Good evening, Council. In your packet, you'll see the variance application for James North. The Planning Commission did approve the request for a 0-foot setback for the fence not to be over 30 inches in the 15-foot right-of-way line, or 4 feet, 2 feet back from the 15-foot right-of-way line. I hope that makes sense. If you look at the site plan, it does show where he would like to put the fence. And then he also did submit some pictures of what the fence would look like. So you will be able to see through it. It will not be opaque. It is on a corner lot, so it did need variance approval from the Planning Commission. So we're just requesting approval from the council on this, if anyone has any questions.
Mandy, I believe, wasn't the motion on the to allow a variance for him to have it on the property line?
Yes, for a
Not
0-foot setback.
Yep, 0 foot, as long as, I don't think the 30 inch was above the curb, right?
Correct.
So I believe it was, we were allowing him to do it as is, as long as it was not hindering sight.
Yes, and that it was on his own property.
Right.
So it would be a 0-foot setback.
Public Works, any issues with plowing snow in this area with this fence closer?
Just learning. I didn't review this prior, Mayor, but I don't see any that it's on the backside of the sidewalk here, frankly.
Larry, this fence isn't located in the right of way at all. It will be on his own properties.
Yeah, and I see it's almost protected by the sidewalk, so that's helpful. So thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Larry.
And
anything else? If not, we're looking for a motion to allow a variance unless you're against a variance.
I was just going to say that the kitty corner across the street, there's another fence, the exact same fence on the property line. So there's nothing unusual for that area. I'll make that motion to approve the variance request.
Thank you, Adam. Second for Adam's motion.
Second, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Council, further discussion on the item? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Mikala Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Get a motion carries. Thank you, Mandy. We'll move on to Larry's items. Larry, future public works site.
Evening again, everyone. It starts out with a bunch of parcel information that Mandy and Jim know very well, which some of us don't. But really, what this is about is what spurred the whole conversation was where are we going to put the new public works storage building that we currently have on the new site of the public safety building when it's built? It's about a 5,000 square foot building, and we're looking at a 50 by 100, so considerable size. And that stores all of our seasonal equipment. You know, when we put the sweeper and the lawnmowers and stuff away, and we bring out the second grader and the snow plows and all that, we transfer all that stuff so it doesn't sit outside in the snowbank in the sun. So, and really it said, where are we going to put this building? And we explored sites that were in size. We were able to get there and do our work that we need to do, but not take up prime real estate in the city for a public works garage. And we had identified the site, I believe it's called the Tioga site, where the cement station was there for many years, which all of you know because it was controversial at times. And then there was all of a sudden a 30-foot sinkhole one day, which was in hindsight a godsend that it happened when it did, and we didn't have a 50 by 100 foot storage building there as we proposed. The sinkhole was in an area that had not been on the county map of an old exploratory mine or anything like that. So anyway, moving on and to the new site, the only site left within the Chisholm and workable that we believe, I had many meetings now between Administrator Scraba there and Jim Johnson, Mandy Galley, that where can we have a site? Where would we put this building? Where can we move the new fuel station in the future? Where can we move sewer, water, and a garbage barn? They call it the barn. It's a garage. Where can we have be all encompassing one site to be productive and mainstream like we are? And this is the only site left after many meetings. So with that, I open discussion, questions, but otherwise ask for your approval to designate those available sites to future public works and utilities area.
Council thoughts on what Larry's proposing? Basically wants just kind of put a moratorium on this location so that we don't use it until further notice.
Just a couple notes. It's better known as the old Maturi property, and then it's just north of the twist drill property and the snow dump, we could call it. Not a lot other than to share that what sparked it was this new public works storage building and where are we going to put it. In the old comp plan and probably again in the new one, the current site of public works is right next to the lake, the walking trail, within a couple of blocks of the grocery store and uptown. And it's better probably suited for apartment building or housing or something like that. This is more an industrial area.
And you got salt going into the lake.
Right.
Council, no harm in doing this. If there's some major need for it in the near future, we can revisit this. I think for now we set it aside, and as we see this progress with public safety bill. So I'd make a recommendation. We just put a hold on any sale of this property at the recommendation of our public works supervisor for now.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Fountain, is there a second for that?
Support.
Thank you. Councilor Miklaraha. Further discussion, Council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Overson.
Larry, question for Larry. Larry, does this site have enough square footage for everything you need for future public works and your building and all your yard area? Is it?
It does. Jim was instrumental in helping with the layout and the potential needs, and we thought the acreage was just a bit more than what we have now, so it would just be it would be a good suit. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And you kind of got a built-in parking lot there for when you're moving stuff out of garages and stuff already, so it's kind of slick with that, with your snow dump. So,
yep.
Council, if there's nothing else, we do have a motion to support. I'll ask Margaret to take a vote.
Councillor Halverson.
Aye.
Councillor Miklaraha.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Larry. Fall casual labor, Larry.
Thanks, everyone, again. There, if most of you or all of you will know how hard it is to get employees right now and to be competitive, it's a challenge. And we do have some good things going for us in our casual labor pool in Chisholm. We're 3 days weekends off. It's just short and easy. We're right in town. That sort of thing. Weekends off, but to be a little bit more competitive, generally speaking, we've always paid minimum wage or slightly above. And then we get a slight bump for returning folks there. For example, if they're at $10.50 this year, they'd be $11 next year. We give a 50-cent bump per year for returning. There's less training, and a lot of times these employees are guiding the younger employees. But anyhow, to be more competitive, and I didn't get any pushback from anyone I shared it with, I would ask your blessing on an earlier motion that we hire the 16th person. We only hired 15. We have a 16th person at a different rate of $12.50 per hour instead of the $10.50, which is slightly above minimum wage.
It looks like it amounts to, if you gave them 60 shifts, $2 an hour, you're looking at $960, council. So 8-hour shift, 60 shifts.
Yeah, and the budget. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And the budget supports the request as well. So
council looking for a motion to hire that casual at a little more competitive rate.
I'll make them.
Starting.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Council, give me 1 second. I lost you. I have no idea where you went. Give me 1 second. Am I still here?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sorry. It's a new computer. Okay, so we do have a motion to hire to advertise for that position, to hire that position at $2 an hour additional. Second for that?
Support.
Was that Travis that seconded that?
Yep.
All right. Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I just have one quick question. This is only for the one casual labor position, not the already hired ones?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
I think this is, just so you know, when budgets roll around, I think this is what's going to be proposed casuals for next year too, just, somebody told me even McDonald's is paying like $15 an hour right now. So it's going to get really competitive out there. Council, anything else? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Last item under Larry, just informational. Larry, you want to talk to that?
Last item.
Bit?
Yeah, thank you. Earlier, council, you supported us in asking you for support us in that good deal on the bucket truck, which we got, and we were going to help pay for it. That you allowed us to go $17,000 over budget, and in order to help pay for that, due bid auctions, City of Chisholm Administrator Za showed me the copy of the check for $19,868.69 for our surplus equipment that you allowed us to sell. So thank you very much. Informational, and we help offset that monies.
Thank you, Larry. Larry, are we garbage cans? Old garbage cans? How are we doing there?
We're doing okay. All of the carts are gone. Every single one. We have about 200 of the 300-gallon containers, and I'm working with another statewide auction company. They have a government contract to surplus the rest because we've exhausted our resources locally. We have had the City of Gilbert, City of Mountain Iron, City of Evelyn, and then we're still hoping to see City of Virginia. But they've absorbed a lot of our stuff, so it's been going very well, Mayor.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Larry. We'll move on. Jim Johnson, payment number 2 for 3rd Avenue Northwest Improvement Project. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The request for council action pretty well summarizes it. But if you want to go to page 39, which is the actual pay application, it's the end of the pay application. And as you get down below the listing of the items and the quantities and so forth, you'll see the gross amount that has been accomplished to date, and that's through a week ago, last Friday through the 17th of July. Total work completed is $210,682.80. From that, we retain 5%, amounting to, as you see, $10,533.14. So the amount that we would be paying to date is $200,129.66. And our previous payment, pay application number 1, was $107,254.05. So what we are recommending as payment for pay application number 2 is $92,875.61. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council, unless you have questions, we look for a motion to make that pay application.
I'll make that motion.
Motion was to pay the $92,875.61. Is there a second for that?
Second, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Council, further discussion?
Hey, Jim, quick question for you. With all that, with the your stuff that you said in your report, are we looking at a over budget project with those boulders and that?
No, I don't think so, because we had a pretty significant quantity of bedrock and we found very little bedrock out there. And then a lot of the sidewalk removal was already completed last fall by the gas company. So I'm not expecting us to be over budget from what the bid was.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Trying to sell all them rocks too.
They're probably even free for the taking. You just
Anyone
have
have
to have a way of loading them when they get more than 12 inches in diameter.
If you ever have any free time, take the alley between 3rd and 4th up there. It's quite impressive, the amount of boulders that have been taken out. They got a nice little garden up there.
Huh. Council, if there's nothing else, I'll have Margaret take a vote on that.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that pay request is approved. Thank you, Jim. We'll move on to Tammy. Youth Center attendant job description 4041. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I'm looking for approval for the job description, and after that motion, I would also request to start advertising and hiring up to 3 youth center attendants. Typically, we have 2, but sometimes people have different types of jobs, so I just thought I'd put 3, but we'll see what we get.
I'll make a motion to approve the job descriptions.
Or
Okay, thank you, Travis. Thank you, Adam. Further discussion on that first item? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. And that motion carries. Now we have to actually advertise and hire the youth center attendants.
motion to advertise and hire the youth center attendants.
Thank you, Adam. Second?
Support.
Travis, thank you. Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. The motion passes. Next item, Tammy, I'd like to bring back our forever flag football coach, Richard Neubauer, for another term. You got all the particulars there. He's been here since 2007. Lump sum of $590 for the season. I think it's a no-brainer. He does a good job for us, and there's not people lining up for that one. Look for a motion. Tammy, anything you want to add to that? I think she froze. Looking for a motion.
I'll make your motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Travis. Second for that.
Second, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion? Oh, I screwed up and I didn't do the job description. Well, we'll hire him, then we'll go back to the job description. Crazy, eh? Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Mikala Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Sorry about that. No, let's jump back. We got to approve the job description.
I'll make the motion to approve the job description.
Thank you, Travis. Second for that.
Second.
Thank you, April. Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Mikala Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, Tammy. Move on to Stephanie's items, schedule special meeting. She'd like to have a schedule special meeting prior to our late August meeting to discuss a few items. I'll let Stephanie explain that.
Yes, hi, Mayor. I would like to schedule a special meeting for the hiring of the ambulance director for the sports complex contract. And we have Article 6 in the MAPE contract, which I've had discussion with Attorney Lindsay on that. And that there's been an MOU on both AFSCME and LELS on that Article 6 taken out of their contracts. It just hasn't happened with MAPE yet, so it needs to come to council.
What time on the 3rd?
So actually, I'm going to propose that we schedule the meeting the week of the 9th. There's a day that works for everybody on that week.
Are we going to be doing this via Zoom?
No, I think we'll meet in person.
I think we'll be in person.
Yeah, I'll be gone the week of
the whole week.
Unless you want to do it at 9 o'clock on the, 1 o'clock on the 9th. Yeah.
Would you be available via Zoom?
I would make myself available via Zoom. But I've taken my wife and daughter and a friend on vacation. I will not be around.
Yeah, council, I'm okay with Zoom if we can get Adam. He's on that ambulance director selection committee, so it'd be, although we do have a couple of council people on there, I guess it's not critical, and he can certainly add any input, but
I do think that it does need to be the week of the 9th. I would agree with Steph on that.
What was that, Adam? The week of the 9th?
It does need to be that week, yes.
Okay. Council, how about Adam, is there a better day there that you foresee if you to try to get on a Zoom meeting?
We're actually going to be out at Wisconsin Dells, so you let me know what day, and I will make sure that I arrange my schedule accordingly.
Council, how about the 11th at I don't know, 6 o'clock?
That works for me.
That would also work for me.
Yeah, that's okay. And can you repeat the items on the agenda?
So in our MAPE contract, there's the terminology about you start at 80% and for so long you go to 100. We took that out of the other contracts. That's one of the items. As I mentioned earlier, we met with the superintendent. There's a new proposed school contract that the committee is going to look at tomorrow, and we want to bring that to the full council on that day. to see if we're gonna submit that to the school. And then obviously we're hoping that they're ready to present an ambulance director to us. I think that's a special meeting, so we can do what? We can take action. And Brian, no issue with taking action. It's a called special meeting.
That's correct, Mayor. Special meeting, you can take action.
We can actually make decisions there. So, somebody want to make a motion? I don't know if you did already. Make a motion for the 11th at 5:30.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, sorry. That'd be fine.
I'll make your motion. Sure.
Thank you, Travis. Second for that?
Support.
Thank you. Adam, further discussion?
Yeah, thank you all for working around my schedule. I appreciate it.
Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. All right, motion carries to hold that special meeting. Margaret, make sure we put her on the door, City Hall, whatever we do. Okay, I think we have to do that. No, that's probably, yeah, whatever. Whatever you gotta do. All right, moving on to my items. Appoint Don Hakey, St. Louis County Fair Board. We advertised for that. Don was the only one that signed up. He's been on there for many years. Recommendation would be to reappoint Don Hakey back to Fair Board. Just in time for the fair.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Adam. Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Motion carries. Appoint Bertie Landacre to the Housing Redevelopment Authority. I finally got somebody who wants to serve on my board. Motion to put Bertie on that board. So we have fill up that board. I'd appreciate it.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, April. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion?
Thank you, Birdie.
Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll take these as two separate items, accept resignation from EDA board from Bo Blunsich. Bo let the board know that he wanted to resign through a text message, but it is what it is. Motion to accept his resignation and send him a letter thanking him for his service.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Adam, second for that.
Support.
Supported by Travis, I believe. Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Michael Raditich, a resignation from the EDA. Michael came to a few meetings and I believe he must have lost interest or his schedule changed and the EDA would like to remove him for not attending so they can replace it with active members. So would that be correct representation, EDA members?
Yep.
Motion to accept Michael Raditich's resignation basically for non-attendance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Adam. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. That motion carries. We'll also send him a letter thanking him for the time he spent. Advertise for vacant boards and commissions. These are our only two vacancies in, Margaret, the two on the ED board that we just opened up.
That's correct.
Motion, council looking for a motion to advertise for these, try to get a little more help on EDA.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Mikolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. All right, City of Virginia Certificate of Support for their Public Safety Center. Council on 54, you'll see that the, oops, I jumped ahead, 53, sorry. They're looking for support for their public safety building. They're trying to get a USDA loan to assist in building that. I had heard in the past that some of what they were going to be doing over there may be in competition with some of the local colleges or some of the local whoever's doing trainings and stuff. I did talk to the assistant chief earlier tonight to ask him what he thought, and he felt that they're doing a really good thing over there. They're doing some trainings and stuff and not charging us, and he was very supportive of this. Chris, how do you, Fire Chief, how do you feel about this support for project?
Yeah, I think it is also a good thing. We have the last 3 months have sent folks over there on a voluntary basis on top of our own trainings. Like you said, it's free. Anytime you get free training, that's a good thing. It might take away from maybe some vendors, but you know, most of us still get customized training and pay for our customized training for our in-department training. So I don't know, but I support it. I mean, it's a good way for us to get together with our neighboring communities and fire departments and working together. So when you're on a scene, you kind of know everybody. So more training, the better.
Thank you, Chris. Adam, as our in-house professional as well, I know you do trainings and everything. Any concerns here or anything?
No, don't. You know, they're free to us now. I know that they're growing the program. I know that if they're going to be having long come over to do free trainings, eventually they might want us to start paying for them to come over and do the customized training. You know, we can't control what the future is. They're all very good people over there. The relationship between our department and theirs is growing. The mutual aid, we've already been over there twice this year, and they had a couple really major events where they asked us to come over and just man their hall because all their resources were out on the streets. And us being a smaller department, but we also use hydrants. A lot of the other rural places don't, you know, so it's showing that they have trust in us. So I think it's a great thing. The more training, the better. You know, there's enough to go around.
Perfect. Council looking for a motion. Allow me to sign a certificate of support for the Virginia Public Safety Building. We may need to reciprocate in the future too, which certainly won't hurt.
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you, Adam. So, second for that.
Support, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Council, further discussion on that item? Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Mikolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Chisholm Area Chamber of Commerce Dock Moonlight Graham Days. We have a map of some areas they want to close off August 4th to the 8th. Kind of their whole schedule is there, what they're doing. Key paragraph, I will work with Larry Fulstead from the City Garage and Police Chief Vern Manor regarding road closures and barricades for the car show. Garbages, all the keywords we need to hear there. So that's what we want them working with. So Obviously going to be a great event, a lot going to be going on between that and the fair at the same time. A motion to allow the chamber to do this, and we need to declare a citywide event so they can be outside for their beer tasting. I think that's what they called it. It's changed names over the years, but looking to create a citywide event festival for that time period.
Just one motion we need to cover it.
I don't know. Help me.
Do we need a separate one for the barricades, or can we just include that in the community festival?
We're going to include it all together.
I think that you can include it all together, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah, we can include it all together.
All right. I will gladly make that motion then, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Travis. Is there a second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Marty. Oh, Adam. Further discussion? Just one comment. You know, we had a festival one year, and we did I think it was during the all class, maybe something for the all class next year. We did a moonlight parade. I don't know if anybody attended that thing. It was back in early 2000s. I was a mayor back then. It absolutely was. You couldn't fit a car down the street. There were that many people. So unbelievable how well it went. I hope somebody hears this tonight and thinks, geez, we should try one of those again. It was phenomenal. So, all right, Margaret.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Motion carries. Last item on the agenda, Council, I'm going to take you back a few years to start this whole thing. I'm going to talk for about 5 minutes, and then I'll tell you what I hope the council agree with me on this. But things change a little bit as you go through life here. Many of you know I served as mayor here from 1999 to 2006. Back when I was a mayor back then, the job description for the clerk, treasurer, administrator was clerk. We had the clerk, the engineer, assessor, building official. We used to assess as well. City attorney, city engineer, if I didn't say that yet. And what would happen occasionally is somebody would drop the ball somewhere, and my council would yell and scream, and who did this and this and that. And so I brought forward the fact that, well, the reason this is happening is there's no administrator in the city of Chisholm. How do you run a city with no boss? All you have is a bunch of appointed officials. They all run their department and nobody runs the city. So we actually added administrator to the clerk back then. And it was quite a battle. I had councilperson Pasenda, God rest his soul. He was a strong councilperson back then, but I managed to pull it off, and we added administrator to the clerk position. Then in the absence of the administrator, we had to have somebody run the city as we do now. You could need a second in command. And that always fell on Gary Krumpetich, who was our accountant. So we actually brought forward to promote Gary Krumpetich's position to a MAPE position so that they could supervise in the absence of the city clerk. God rest his soul, to a great man. So a little bit of a history on that. So now I want to kind of jump forward to where we're at today. As you're all aware, we're looking for clerk, treasurer, administrator, clerk, treasurer. I actually have it on my calendar for the 28th of July. It says Liza Donabar, I guess her name is, because we know that she wants to start this search again. As you're also very aware, we have Eileen Zaw and Stephanie Scraba acting as co-administrators, splitting the services kind of in a very natural divide by their strong suits. Having worked with them in that capacity for the past couple of months, it kind of occurred to me that the clerk, treasurer, administrator are two very different jobs all combined into one. You know, I look at an administrator of a city and I think the administrator is the face of the city, handles the day-to-day operations, is the thinking behind the city, the direction of the city, is the push for the city, which falls into economic development, handles day-to-day operations, handles employees and the difficulties that can come with handling employees. Operates very much in a gray area for much of their operation. They have to be able to make decisions. They have to be able to move and decide what to do when they get a cold call, what they do with it, if it's got to go to council, if they can answer it, how they're going to solve it. So very much mover and a shaker type of position. Whereas when you're looking at a clerk treasurer, you're talking about a person that thinks very black and white, exact science. All right, their numbers need to be exact. Their thinking needs to be exact. Really a kind of a different mentality. You know, if they don't do perfect, we hear from our auditors. If they operate in the gray area, they go to jail, and we hear from our auditors. So it's I mean, when I look at the position we're trying to fill, and when we looked at some of these candidates, you also probably seen that we have some of both. We had some that were strong in administration, some that were strong in numbers. What I'd like to propose tonight is kind of was in front of you. I'm sure when you looked at that flow chart, you're thinking, God, what's the mayor trying to do here? The proposal I think we should consider looking at before we start another search, if the council agrees with me, would be to separate these two positions. Create the position of administrator, who runs the day-to-day operations, is the mover and the shaker, is the direction for the city, handles HR. Obviously, we have an HR person that is doing some help for us right now as a consultant, and also is kind of the idea behind economic development. However, I definitely, as part of this, believe we need to keep money in the EDA budget, because if we get project specific, we need money, we're going to need help, whether it be in a consulting manner or we bring somebody in for a short term. So I wouldn't want to take away from that, and I would, you know, come budget time, I wouldn't want to change that. So I definitely think we need to keep that in place. And create a second position. Let me back up, and that would be our appointed official for the city. The top of the chart, basically running the city, the face of the city, the direction for the city. Then I would like to create a clerk treasurer position. That is basically what Deputy Clerk Zaw is doing right now. Although I would be looking at adding some additional duties. A good example would be right now, Eileen and Stephanie are working on trying to figure out how a budget might look for our new ambulance service, trying to actually put numbers to things, how this is all going to look. That would be one of the new duties, doing things like that. In addition, if we come up with a project, we may need some funding, figuring out how to get this funding, how to put the whole package together, some grant writing, some submissions. You know, Stephanie would still do some grant writing if she accepts the position. However, some of the submissions you need to do after the grant writing, I think it would fit more into this position. With that said, we're still kind of down one employee, and I believe that position I would look at redefining the deputy clerk, making that a ASME position, acting more like an accountant for the city, to do some of the standard things like possibly paying bills or entering data underneath Eileen. As you saw in the flow chart, the clerk treasurer, I keep referring to, Eileen and Stephanie, because obviously my recommendation is going to be that I believe those two are the best for these two newly created positions. But basically, you've seen in a flow chart that the public utilities clerk, the payroll clerk, and this new deputy clerk, newly defined deputy clerk, would fall under the clerk treasurer position, which would be a MAPE position, similar to what Eileen is doing right now. What else? There's some other things in that flow chart. I more or less wanted to try to just clean it up. It's obvious that in the library, Katie supervises her library aides, cleaned up some of the terminology or some of the flow with, Larry does a lot with the public utilities, the cemetery, things like that. So, and obviously police chief supervises his staff, our police officers. Fire chief on top of the paid on call firefighters, new ambulance director, paid on call EMT. A lot of this is pretty much straightforward. It's the same as it is right now, but I'm looking for the council's thoughts on separating those positions. That would be what I'm looking for. I believe both of the positions, the way I laid them out, would be easier to fill in the future should Eileen and Stephanie take these positions and move on. I believe they would be easier to fill. I believe we were talking two different thinking as an employee, and I believe by separating them, it's better. Just another note, this is similar to what Hibbing does. Their clerk is separate from their administrator. So I don't know what other cities do. I know they're looking for both right now. So I do know that they do it as well. So council, my recommendation, rather than going and having Liza do an additional search, which I'm not convinced would turn out a lot different than our first one. I don't feel a lot changed. And I feel the way we're operating the city right now is working really well. We're basically operating it as I'm laying out right now for the most part, absent the accountant, but we do have our intern that is acting in a small way, helping Eileen in that department. So we're almost operating as I outlined it right now. So I think it would be a good direction for the city. If the council does not agree, obviously our next step will be to go look for clerk treasurer administrator. And I would support that as well. But council, I'd like to open it for discussion at this point. I'll just shut up. I've said enough. And thoughts on this?
Mr. Mayor, I completely agree. I think there's a reason why we've had a lot of turnover at this position over the last 10 years. But yeah, I think things are flowing great. I think with our staff is excellent, and I support this 100%.
Council, I'd like to hear from all of you. I don't want to try to shoehorn this in. So Cheyenne, Travis, Marty.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Fountain. I think separating the city administrator and the clerk treasurer is great, but I don't believe the clerk treasurer needs to be looking for grants and writing grants and managing other things. I think that needs to be the economic development, and the economic development coordinator needs to be separate to move forward, to move this town forward, to get the grants that we need, to build more homes, to find more things, and I think the accountant position for the deputy clerk is a great idea. It will help Eileen and the accounting department. But I don't believe that the clerk treasurer to be doing grants and doing economic development, or the city administrator.
So April, Stephanie and I talked about that earlier today. I'm going to let her address that. We've already discussed it, and I think we agree with you. Stephanie, you want to address that a little bit as far as the whole grant part?
Sure. Good evening, people. So I have thought about this in kind of a lot of a lot of time. And I think that I would still be looking for some funding, but after you get that funding, there's a lot of processes that happens on the financial side. So like now that we have the bonding money, to go through the whole bonding process after we have secured the funds is quite a lengthy process. And when we receive grant dollars from IRRR after that money has been awarded to us, then there's a lot of financial things that have to get put back into the flux system to make sure we get paid, make sure that the items that we wrote the grant for are purchased. So some of the things that already fall under that bucket of actually deputy clerk, kind of what Eileen is already currently doing when it comes to ordering merchandise and that kind of stuff. So I think it would fall more on the financial reporting than the seeking of the funds. Because right now I'm responsible for both sides. So I go out and I find the funding and then I do all the follow-up work with the funding. But I could see like a pretty easy break after that funding has been awarded to us and just the financial reporting after it. Does that help?
Yes, thank you for that clarification.
April, and we also, we definitely, I don't know how the rest of the council felt about it, but we definitely feel we need to leave money in the economic development budget because there's just not going to be enough Stephanie to go around if she takes this job. Okay. So they need to be able to do things there. We need to be able to do things. If we need help, we need to get it. So, yes.
I can touch on that just a little bit too, as far as, I think what I could see happening is being able to hire a consultant or whatever is needed for special projects in economic development. If we really want to focus on downtown development, or you want to focus on a housing development, or whatever strategically the EDA has decided, which is going to be really geared off of our comprehensive plan that's almost done. So our planning process is going to be a lot more streamlined, and then we can budget each year for that specific economic development purpose and have additional help for those. Because I agree with the mayor, I'm not going to be able to do it all.
Mr. Mayor, I got another question. We do have that consultant for human resources. I think we should continue to have a consultant where it's not put on the city administrator. Human resources is a big thing that a city needs to have. And from my understanding, this gal that we have now is just wonderful. So I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think we should continue with this gal that we hired.
So Stephanie and I also discussed that today as well, April, or over the last week or whatever. And she has quite a laundry list of things that we need to clean up in the HR department. So we don't really have a sunset on that gal at this point, quite frankly, for lack of a better term. Stephanie wants to look at policies and procedures and things that are just going to help us to not get ourselves backed in a corner with some conflicts between employees and stuff and different things. So there's a lot of that she wants to clean up, and some job descriptions and things that we're looking at. So yes, we are in full agreement with that as well. Travis, thoughts? Marty, Cheyenne?
Yeah, so I fully support the idea. I do differ a little bit with the thinking as far as the grants go. I actually am, I kind of feel the opposite of how Councillor Fountain feels with regards to the grant writing. The reason I say that is because there are so many grants out there, and we need someone to be responsible for that. And I don't think that the administrator / EDA person can do that justice. And one recommendation, this is totally off topic, but one recommendation for me going forward is going to be to utilize some ARPA money for a grant writer. But that's a side conversation. But grant writing now in this day and age is so important. And there's tons and tons and tons of money out there right now. So once we figure that out, I think that's a separate conversation that we need to have further as far as the grants go. But I fully support the idea. I agree. Stephanie and Eileen are by far the two best for these positions, and I hope and pray that they will accept them for us. I think we are moving forward in the direction we need to go. Yeah, I think it's great. I fully support it. Like I said, with the addition that I'd like to have further conversation regarding who is responsible for grants.
Yeah, Travis, and I couldn't agree more. Just in the past year, every one of our staff, our department heads pretty much has brought us a grant that we've received. So, and that all needs to continue. You heard from Katie tonight, she got another 100,000. Tammy's continuing to bring money into that area. Stephanie's continuing to bring money in. So it's all hands on board to keep getting these grants. We can, we continue to apply, and we get a number of them for the fire department, the police department. So yes, all hands on deck on grants, and as well as additional help from the EDA to continue in that. There ain't enough money right now. So I couldn't agree with you more on grants. That's the forefront, because we're going to run out.
Mr. Mayor, can I just comment Mr. Councilor Rocky's I feel the same way you do, Councilor Rocky. Economic development needs to be separate to move forward, like I was saying, because we do need the grants, and like Mr. Mayor said, that all hands on deck, all of the supervisors need to be looking for grants as well. But I guess I was just saying that the clerk treasurer shouldn't have to write grants, and then Stephanie was saying no, it would be more financial reporting. But yeah, I'm on board with this. I think this would be great, but I would like to have more conversation as well, just to make sure that we're all on board and doing the right thing for Chisholm, and not just making this huge step like tonight. Thank you.
Marty, thoughts? I think we lost Cheyenne. I don't know if she got back on or not.
Well, I fully support this. It's basically just formalizing what we're already doing. And I think Stephanie and Eileen are fantastic, and they're doing an absolutely great job. And I hope that we can move forward and formalize this. It's basically how we've been operating for the last few months. And I think it's a great way to do it. Your summary was very good, John. And the only thing I noticed is on your flow chart, I don't think that clerk treasurer would be under the administrator. I think there's two lines coming down from mayor and council, one to administrator and one over to clerk treasurer, because they're kind of parallel. And I think during, I'm assuming that, like say during a vacation, if one's on vacation, the other one has to take over as full responsibility, and vice versa. Or if there's an absence for some reason, that they back each other up during vacation times and things like that. So no, I think it's a natural progression, and I think it's the way to go. I fully support this, and especially with Steph and Eileen, I think they're just fantastic. So yeah, I'm fully behind it.
Marty, the main reason the clerk treasurer shows up as on the third line is because it's the city administrator is an appointed position, and pretty much everybody underneath that are MAPE employees. So I believe I guess I didn't answer that question. But yeah, in the absence of the administrator, the clerk treasurer would be the next, would basically be in line because of that person's position in City Hall, being basically the supervisor of the employees already. So Stephanie, is that your understanding? That's what we were thinking, right? That the clerk treasurer would be your replacement while you're on vacations or whatnot.
Yes, that is correct. That's what we discussed.
Cheyenne, we lost you for a little while, but you're back. I don't know how much you heard there. Thoughts on, I don't know when you lost, if I was still talking or we lost you, but thoughts on my proposal?
Yeah, so I basically booped out right as, one second. I lost basically as everybody started talking. So from what I'm hearing, it's essentially what we're doing right now. So I would be in favor of that. And did I miss something?
No, that's about it. Other than, because we're, based, I don't know what you heard, but I'll just kind of reiterate. My recommendation would be create this job description and offer it to Stephanie, this administrator position. Her duties basically would be to run day-to-day operations, HR, face of the city, direction for the city, handle day-to-day operations, clerk treasurer, doing a lot of what Eileen's doing now with some expanded. It's kind of on that the page that's before the flow chart, kind of her additional duties. We would need, because we're kind of pulling them away from some of the areas they're in now, we'd be looking at, as the third position that's still empty, is adding a Ask Me accountant. That would be called the deputy clerk. Okay, so we kind of redefine deputy clerk. Very definite a concern that we want to make sure we're taking care of the EDA, because we know we need to keep money there for them for next year. And I think everybody is in agreement, at least at this point, that this HR person that we hired a meeting or so ago is still a very important part of this. So yeah, I think that's everything. So basically what we're doing right now, but we'd want to look at getting a little bit extra help as this third position that we still haven't filled, which would now actually be an Ask Me employee.
So, Mr. Mayor, quick question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. So you're just looking for the flow chart approval tonight. I would assume that we would have a working session at some point to discuss the other things.
Yes and no. Yes. To answer your question, yes, the flow chart. Okay. But I'd like to take the next step, because I would like to be prepared for the end of August to make a decision on this. So my thought would be get together, and we can do it as a closed session because it's a contract negotiation. Okay? We'll look at Stephanie's current contract, discuss what wages and benefits may go along with this newly created administrator position, and we should look at the job description. Now, if you would like, and I would do this with Eileen as well, okay? If you would like, I would ask them to submit basically their job description, so you have what their job description. And we can discuss it to see if we're in agreement. That's where it should spread out. Okay. We'll also bring forward the job description with this new accountant, which is called a deputy clerk. Bring all three job descriptions forward. And if the council would like, I would have them submit what they feel is comparable wages and benefits. So we have a starting point and we can compare them to their current wages and benefits. If we have all that stuff, I think we hold a closed meeting. We discuss it all as a council, decide where it all lands, and come into August when we meet again, we offer them the jobs. In the meantime, we just move forward as we are. But we can do it in a closed session because it's basic discussion their contracts. Brian, any issue you see with that?
Not at this point, so long as it is to formulate positions for labor negotiation, essentially.
You know, there's some things we have to talk about. Stephanie's already put the call to the ASME president, you know, dating back to my time here previously. Okay, there was an ASME accountant. So we have a job description. So they didn't have a lot of problem, and we're sort of creating a new position. The loser here is the ADA, and I want to reiterate that I don't want to leave them behind, because right now, especially with this council, we have a council that wants to do things, and we are doing some really neat things, and I certainly do not want that to stop. Comes with a cost, so that grant writing is expensive. So my recommendation would be to approve the flow chart and have a special meeting to discuss these 3 contracts. And I'll try to bring any information to those meetings or get them to you ahead of time, so that we have some starting points and we can discuss it. Obviously, I would want to do it in the month of August. So come the end of August, we're ready to roll. As a spin off of this, I don't have the number in front of me, Stephanie may, but she reached out to Liza and told her what my thinking was. And Liza thought it was great as well. And she actually offered a refund because she's not going to finish the search. I don't know what it was. You know, they went a long way down the road already, and they did provide a search for us because it wasn't really adequate according to her. But she was going to refund us if we do stop the search as well. So, I mean, that's what I think. I think that's what we should do. I think we should look at these 3 positions. Let's create a job description. Let's come up with wages and benefits. Let's offer them to Stephanie and Eileen as administrator and the clerk treasurer. If we come up with a job description for that accountant, which would be called the deputy clerk, ASME position, we'll look at posting for that in our end of August meeting. That's it. That's what I'd like to do. It's kind of the way we're operating right now, and I think it'll work. I think it'll work. I think it'll work better. I think it'll make it easier for councils in the future to have to replace these positions if need be too. So that's what I'd be looking for. Motion to approve the contract and I need to approve the flow chart and hold a closed session special meeting. We don't have to do it right away. I mean, we could, you know, as long as we do it before our August 25th meeting. That's all I'm worried about.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Marty.
can we add this to the agenda for our special meeting? First or August, whatever day we decided, August 11th?
Well, it's contract negotiation, so don't we want to do it where we can talk candidly?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. It was. Yeah,
That's the thing. That's why I separated. I thought about that too, but we want to talk candidly. I'd like to be able to talk about Eileen and Stephanie specifically in that meeting, their strengths and their weaknesses. I think that's important. I would like to talk about what they're being paid right now. Obviously, we know they're up. They're bumped up because they're acting as co-administrators. And like I said, I'd be more than happy to have them submit what they feel are comparable wages and benefits for the jobs that we'd be offering them for comparison's sake. And we can certainly pull that old job description for the accountant that we're transitioning to the name deputy clerk as an ASME position. We could pull this all together if you give me, if we did it like the week before our meeting, say the 18th or something, we'd have plenty of time to talk. I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the flow sheet and to go ahead and schedule a closed session.
What time you want to do it? You want to do it on the 18th then?
It doesn't really matter to me, I guess. I just
Would it be too much to adjourn the special meeting and then go into a closed session on the 11th?
Yeah, I think it's going to be too much. That contract is going to be lengthy, I think, when we start talking about that with the school, Adam. What are the other things we're talking about that night? The first one's pretty straightforward. Yeah, with that and that ambulance director, Adam, I think we better separate them.
Okay.
That could be a long night.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I am actually out of town that week.
You know, we could pull this together by the 11th if you want. You want to try to, that's our other meeting. Next week would be tough. How about like the day, how about Adam's out of town? You're gone that whole week, Cheyenne?
Unfortunately, I am. Yeah.
You got to go on vacation once in a while.
If we did it another day on the week of the 9th, I don't know, everybody wants to do another meeting that week. If we can do it on Zoom, I can attend. Like I said, I think.
Sorry, if we were able to hold it that week of like the 16th through the 20th via Zoom, I could also attend. I just won't be here in person.
It doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I'm just trying to get it done before the 25th. We could even look at the 23rd or 24th if you guys want. Give me more time. We'll get as much info as we can. It doesn't matter to me. I actually set my schedule around council stuff. So other than my vacation to Mexico next February.
Guess that makes two of us. 20, does the 23rd work? I guess I feel like a meeting like this, I would much rather be in person.
I would too. I would rather just try to make it work around it. How about the 23rd, council? 6 p.m. on the 23rd.
Perfect.
That's
Marty,
okay.
Marty, make your motion. You approve the flow chart and we'll hold the meeting, special meeting, closed session, Monday the 23rd for contract negotiations with these new positions.
In person and what time?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. on the 23rd. I'll amend my motion to have a closed session, 6 p.m. in person, August 23rd.
Or
Okay, thank you, Marty. Thank you, Adam. Further discussion. Thank you all for listening to what I have to say. I think it's going to work good for the city. Margaret?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Anything under miscellaneous council that's burning we want to talk about? If not, I'll look for motion to adjourn. Obviously, we got Doc Moonlight Grams coming up. We have the fair coming up. Get out and attend those things. We have our meeting with the airport. Make sure we all show up there. Other than that, motion to adjourn, council.
motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Thanks, Cheyenne. All in favor, say aye.
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 No opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
We will see you on the, when are we holding it? 11th, was it?
Yep.
All right. Talk then.
See you then.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.